Hello and welcome to From Impossible to Inevitable. I am your host, Megan Bauer. Thank you so much for pushing play on today's podcast. I appreciate you and I send you all of my gratitude. Today, for episode 92, I want to chat about habits. Now, I know I shared in episode 87 about my new morning routine, which has been phenomenal. If you didn't listen to that episode, I highly recommend it because it's awesome. And today I'm going to give you some book recommendations, but it's not a book review. I really want to have a discussion about why habits. Okay. And here's what this was triggered by. I recently heard this quote by Brian Tracy, and it's going to be in two parts. So I'm going to talk about this quote in those two parts because I think each part is very impactful. So I want to make sure we get the full impact of each part. The first part is good habits are hard to develop, but easy to live with. Bad habits are easy to develop, but hard to live with. So think about that for a second. I know you have some good habits. Everyone's got good habits. Even if they're not the good habits you wish you had, whatever, they're just good habits that you do have. So you don't actually even think about it anymore because you just have those good habits. And you probably don't appreciate them like you used to, or maybe at all, or whatever. But you have good habits. Take a step back. It's so easy to live with those habits that you maybe don't even notice it. If you are really good at eating well and you have a really great habit about that, then it's so easy to keep continuing to do it because it's your habit, right? You know what you're buying when you go to the grocery store. You know what you're making when it comes to dinner. You know what you're eating. You know what to look for off of a menu. You know what restaurants you want to go. It's just easy. Getting there was not easy. It was not easy to learn what was good for your body and how to make recipes that tasted good with the food and how to, you know, keep your mind and yourself focused and disciplined when you went to the grocery store and when you chose restaurants and when you were picking from a menu. All of that was super hard to develop. Okay. And if food's an easy thing for you, then pick something else. There's fitness, there's education, there's so many other areas in life where you can have phenomenal habits that you don't even notice anymore because they're so easy to live with. And these are the things that, like, when you're at a party or something like that and somebody's complaining, like, oh, if only I could eat right. And you're just like, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. It's not that hard. I don't even think about it anymore. So, because you don't. But that's because it's so easy to live with. The bad habits, on the other hand, this is what is like smacks you in the face whenever somebody says habits. And as soon as I got on here and I was like, I want to talk about habits, you're like, well, crap. It's the bad habits that just hit you upside the head. And it's just like, hey, remember me? You feel bad about that, don't you? And they're so easy to engage in because, they give you some sort of chemical boost. I'm not sciencey, but you know what I mean. They give you some sort of false benefit in the moment that keeps you engaging in that bad habit, even though in the long run it causes problems. Eating half a gallon of ice cream every night after dinner is a really easy habit to form. That's a really hard one to live with because it could actually shorten your life. It could cause so many problems physically. Not a great habit. I remember this was probably sometime last year. We found this really great ice cream place in town, like super good. Best ice cream I've ever had in my entire life. Okay, well, I wanted to go there at least once a week. And I started small, and then I started ordering the sundaes. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm full at half a sundae. And then I remember the night where I was like, if I don't stop myself, I could eat this whole dang thing. Like, when did that happen? When did I work up to eating this whole sundae? And I was kind of like, I have a problem. I have a problem with this. And so we had to scale way back. And honestly, I don't even know the last time we went to that ice cream place because I dialed it in because it was becoming a problem. It was so easy though. It was so easy. But then I was like, wait, this is not good for me. This should be a special occasion celebration sort of situation, not an every Tuesday night sort of situation. Okay. All right. Dial it in. It's okay. So there we go. Good habits. Hard to form, easy to live with. Bad habits, easy to form, hard to live with. That is the trade-off. Sorry, but it is. The good habits, though, once you get them established, they serve you. They serve you. So go back and listen to my episode on morning routines if you haven't already. This morning routine, this habit that I worked so dang hard to establish serves me every single day. I have more energy. I am more centered. I have read so much. I have journaled so much, which means I've learned way more about myself in the last 3 months than I have probably in the last year. This habit has served me. Bad habits, on the other hand, you serve them. Have you ever had a soda drinking habit? I have. And it's like, okay, it's 11:30. I need my soda. You serve it. You were like, I need to go get that. I have to have it. And it doesn't matter what I'm doing, that takes over your brain until you sate it, right? You serve your bad habits. They don't serve you. They really don't. That soda didn't serve me. And when I broke that habit, it's like, great, it's 11:30. I'm fine. Whatever. Okay? All right. We get that. We understand it. All right, moving on. Second part of this really great quote is the habits that you have and the habits that have you will determine almost everything you achieve or fail to achieve. I love this for 2 reasons. One, I had to read it several times in order to realize that it wasn't a typo because it's the habits that you have. Those are the good ones. You have those habits. You are in charge. They serve you. And the habits that have you, those are the bad habits. Those are the bad habits that you serve. Those are the ones that totally make you reroute your entire, drive to school because you're like, I need a soda, I need a coffee, I need whatever, and I need it now. And you're like, reroute to the nearest Swig, reroute to the nearest Starbucks, please and thank you, I need that. And then what if you're late? I wouldn't be late because that's me, but I'm thinking about that and I'm like, I don't know why I had to say that, but I did. So there it is. If you've been listening to the podcast long enough, you know I am a time cop. I am not late for nothing, man. Okay. That's fine. So here you go. These habits will determine almost everything you achieve or fail to achieve. Now, here's why. If you've got all of these great habits, they are serving you. They are helping you accomplish whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. If you're trying to grow in your personal development, then reading personal development books, having a habit like that is only going to further your cause. It's only going to help you along the way. It's only going to help you accomplish what it is you're out to accomplish. And having a bad habit of sleeping in every single day so you never get your reading in is going to deter you from that accomplishment. It's going to make sure that you fail because it's like, well, you missed your reading time again, so I guess that's not happening. Okay, that's fine every once in a while, but if it always happens, then guess what? You don't have a reading habit. You have a reading habit that you wish you had, but you don't have one. Yeah, makes sense. So if you set the habits that get you to where you want to go, that lay that groundwork and that ensure that you continually make steps on that path and on that journey, you're going to get there. If you continually feed habits that deter you from that accomplishment, from what it is that you want to do and where it is you want to go, you're not going to get there. Right? Right. Okay. We understand. Thank you, Brian Tracy, for this fantastic quote and subsequent podcast episode. I went searching through my bookcase for books on habits. I legit thought I had 2. Turns out I have 4. So that's great. I'm going to run through them real quick. So this first one is The Power of Habit. This was the first habit book I acquired and also the one I've never finished. I got it a long time ago, maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. It is very sciencey. If you're watching the episode on YouTube, you can see how far I got. Not that far. No one's impressed. I'm not impressed. I remember it being very sciencey, but it breaks down what happens in your brain as you strive to form a habit. If science is so your jam, I recommend this one. It's really good. I guess. Okay. I've read that it's really good, which is why I bought it. Sorry. Okay, we're going to move on. The second one is The Power to Change by Craig Groeschel. This one is also really good. He is a preacher man, so it's set in a religious tone, although it doesn't have overly religious practices. Okay, so I mean, he gives you a religious context, but it doesn't. If that makes you vomit, then don't choose this one. But it's not overly religious. I just wanted you to be aware that was the context. And this one I really loved because he has one super great idea. And he talks about how he, one year he decided he was going to implement one habit. He was setting one New Year's resolution. He's like, I'm going to spend this entire dang year on this one habit. And now most people are like, bro, one habit? Like, really? Way to aim high. Okay, but the thing is that he spent the whole year focused on establishing that one habit. Now, depending on which school of thought you subscribe to, it takes 21 to 66 days or 90 days to establish a habit. This fool is establishing a habit over the course of a year, which means comes next January 1, this is so ingrained, it is a complete non-issue. Like, totally not a big deal. He's got it. And then that next year, he sets another habit. And then the next year, another habit and another habit. And before you even realize it, he's established more habits in 10 years than all the people who tried to do several things at once in a year and gave up on all of them. I mean, that slow and steady wins the race. I don't know what you're talking about if you don't think so. Now, I would say, I love that. I do. I love that idea. I would actually recommend the whole 66 days rule or even 90 days. Choose a habit for 90 days, a quarter, and focus on that. Nothing but that for 90 days. You'll get it after 90 days. And then you can set another one. That's for a year. But don't start off trying to do for a year. Like, really, you only have so much willpower, so much bandwidth, so much capacity to establish these things because they are hard to develop. Okay. So, really, one thing at a time. You get that down, add another, no problem. Okay. Next one, High Performance Habits by Brendon Burchard. This was a good one. This one is really for people who want to be high achievers, entrepreneurs, that sort. I don't remember a whole lot about this book, to be honest. But there you go. I have it. Okay. The one I love, I'm fairly certain I've talked about this extensively on Instagram, I think, a couple of years ago, though. So if you haven't been following me for a million years, you probably don't know that. Atomic Habits. This is probably the best book on habits ever. It's by James Clear. He's awesome. I have mentioned his newsletter before. It's called 321 Thursday. I love that newsletter. It's probably the only newsletter that I consistently read and save and occasionally print because it's so good. It's so concise. It's so compact. It's so powerful. However, his book, Atomic Habits, really breaks down habits. He even cites the Power of Habit, that first one, that really sciencey one, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. He cites that book in his book. So if you're really interested in the science, but you just want to read one book on habits, I really recommend Atomic Habits. He's done a great job. He gives you a lot of how-tos, a lot of practical tips, a lot of like thinking about, do you really want this habit? Like that's something that's really important that you need to really consider when you are starting a new habit. Because if you really, really, really want the habit, you will do whatever it takes. You will. He talks about if you want to break the habit of how much TV you watch. This is a real life example from his book. He's like, you could just set the goal of, not watching as much TV, but then you still engage in your habit of turning on the TV every night and you sit in front of it and whoops, there goes 4 hours. He's like, you could take the batteries out of the remote and put the batteries in a different room. Therefore, when you sit down to watch TV, you have the inconvenience of no remote. And you're just like, well, crap, now I got to go get the batteries. So then here's what that gives you. That gives you a chance to pause. Okay, since I have to go get those batteries and put them in, is this really what I want to be doing with my time? Is it? If it is, then go get the batteries and put them in. And then when you're done, you got to put the batteries back in the other room. Okay. Or you can be like, actually, this isn't what I want to be doing with my time. And you go do something else. He even goes so far to say, I loved this one. Put the TV in the closet. What? That sounds bananas. Why would you put the TV in the closet? Well, you put the TV in the closet so that it takes an enormous amount of work to watch TV. Unless you can pull up Netflix on your laptop or on your phone or on your iPad. Look, there's ways around it. That's not the point. The point is, do you really want this habit? Do you really want the habit of not watching too much TV? Is that really a goal? If it isn't, then fine, just go on with your life. If it is, make it as hard as possible to engage in that. Here are some other suggestions. If you're like, okay, I put the TV in the closet, but then I just reach for my phone, delete the Netflix app on your phone. Just delete it. Or if you're like, yeah, well, I'm just going to reinstall it. Okay, well, that's obnoxious, but okay, reinstall it. How about you have somebody you love or trust change your password? Then you can't even access it. And you're just like, well, that's a bummer. But guess what? You'll be able to break your habit. So really, I understand. TV gets me fired up because I don't watch TV anyway. So, so that one's easy for me to preach on. Preach. There we go. He's got a lot of really great habit forming and habit breaking tips in Atomic Habits. I highly recommend that one the most out of all of them. It's the most memorable. I've read it several times. It's a great one. Okay. I hope this discussion, I hope Brian Tracy's quote has illuminated something for you. I hope it's I hope it has lit a fire for you to make some adjustments. Not too many. Don't go crazy. Just make one. Make one. Make sure it's something that you really, truly want. Make decisions that are sustainable and work on it every day for at least 66 days, maybe 90. Okay, there we go. That's what I've got for you. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you. I send you all my love. Until next time, bye for now.